helps us navigate the path from heartbreak to healing. So now, please welcome the host of Soul CPR, Ann Papayoti.
Hello, and thank you for tuning in today. As always, I'm delighted you've joined me. Now, if you are a regular follower, you may notice two things right now. One, I'm not in my usual location because I'm not in Dallas, Texas. I'm actually in Atlanta, Georgia. The second thing you may notice is that my screen's a little blurry because we're having difficulty with the Wi-Fi connection where I'm at, but the audio is apparently working just fine. So that's what's most important, is that you can hear me. Now, also, if you've been following this show, you know that I enjoy featuring guests who have overcome adversity and are willing to share out loud about what they've gone through and how they've healed so that we can learn from them and be reminded of our own strengths when we're facing our life challenges. Now, I often meet my extraordinary guests in the most ordinary places and believe that our paths were meant to cross. And today's guest is certainly no different. I ran into the grocery store one Saturday after teaching a fitness class, and there she was doing a book signing. And I was immediately drawn in and had to know what she and her writing were all about. And now I do, and soon you will too. Monica Flores is a talented author who writes powerful stories of resilience, strength, and personal growth. With a deep love for these character rich driven narratives, Monica creates worlds where protagonists face and overcome significant challenges, often involving elements of adventure, romance, and self discovery. Are you compelled yet to know more? I'm sure you are. Through her work, Monica aims to inspire readers to reflect on their own lives and embrace the power of change, determination, and courage. Her debut series, A One Story, introduces three remarkable female characters, Ziva, Emara, and Pala, each of whom embark on their own extraordinary journeys in a world full of dangers and self discovery. Monica, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Yes, and see how Monica's camera is all everything's nice and clear, and that I'm so glad that it is. I'm also so glad that I went Krogering that Saturday, however long ago that's been now. And
It's been about a month that we met, and it's, yeah, I feel the same way. I feel like we were meant to meet and me to be here. So thank you very much for inviting me.
of course, of course. I know you had a friend with you that day from your writing group, and I know we're going to talk about them at some point, and it was lovely to see you. And I had no idea at that point how much we had in common beyond writing, and but also all the way to abusive relationships and beauty pageants. And we'll get into all of that along throughout the morning. But I'm someone who believes that every one of us has a story or two or 22 or maybe even 200 inside of us, but not all of us are inspired to actually write them down and share them with the world. And of course, as a writer myself, I'm always curious. So, what inspired you to write and to become a writer?
I think it started with the fact that I was in a marriage that was not positive, and so it was a way for me to cope through that. I didn't know what was going on, but I used it to sort of as an outlet to survive. Um, and then with that, a few sometime later, I was introduced to a counselor who told me what abuse was, and that I was in an abusive relationship, and that I had to, um, you know, do something about it. So that was my first um, experience with abuse that I was not prepared for, and didn't know what was going on. But then I had a choice. And with the help of the counselor and friends, they hid me out for 3 days. And then I was reunited with my family, my parents and brothers. And at that time, I had two small children at the time. And when I made it to Texas, that's when I found out I was pregnant with my third. Um,
Yeah.
so tough time, but that's how it all started.
My goodness. Um, I can tell that it's still very difficult to talk about, uh, and abusive situations are not easy to talk about. But you did get out, and writing as a way to cope with your marriage is what you said. So it began as that. And how dark did it get before you realized? Because you said it was a therapist who actually helped you have the insight that you were actually in an abusive relationship. What did you think was happening, or what were you thinking during this time before you were introduced to a therapist?
Um, yeah, it is difficult to talk about. But at that time, I didn't know what was going on, but I knew I couldn't continue with where I was at. I couldn't continue down the path I was going. And so much so, it was such a dark time that I had a plan to kill myself and my children
Wow.
if the counselor couldn't help me. I had a plan. I knew exactly what I was going to do. And thanks to that counselor, I'll be forever in her debt. Um, she told me what was going on. She helped me to see the cycle of abuse, and then helped me to make some choices, some decisions in my life to help me and my children move forward. And with that, that's when we were hidden for 3 days until my father could come rescue me.
Wow. Um, that is extremely dark. Of course, dark thoughts that you went to while you were in this situation, and not even recognizing that that's what you were in. I work with a lot of domestic violence, intimate partner violence, abuse, and I know a lot of people do not understand that what they're experiencing is abuse, and until someone else defines it for them. So I understand that you did not know that. I understand how your thoughts went that dark. I do want to take this moment to say, if anyone listening has ever had those kinds of thoughts, the Crisis and Suicide Lifeline is available to anyone and everyone 24/7. Call or text 988. The Domestic Violence Hotline, call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 7233. Or you can text START to 88788. I appreciate your being so honest and open about where your thoughts went, because so many people feel alone and isolated in those kinds of thoughts and in those dark times in their lives. And they may not have a therapist, or they may not have someone who introduced them to that kind of help and that hero without a cape in their life that helps guide them through that dark time. And they may not have family to come and pick them up, may not have someone to help create that safety plan. But these two organizations are there for each and every one of us. And that's that friend at the end of the phone that you didn't know you had. And they will help you, and they will help you create that plan. So something I heard you speak that's so important: you were hidden away for 3 days. There was a safety plan created for you, an exit strategy. And that's so important. And we've done several shows on Soul CPR, Healing Out Loud, on domestic violence. And we always emphasize the importance of having a strategy and an exit plan. And anyway, so glad that you had that, and you had that support, and you were able to move out. What did you learn about the cycle of abuse, Monica, if you don't mind sharing, that you didn't know or you weren't aware of while you were in it?
Well, the cycle of abuse starts with things not good. You know, you think you're in a good place, but then it starts to get worse and worse and worse and worse until the abuse occurs. And then after the abuse is when the abuser tries to make it up to you that things are all right again and I will never do it again. And um, then eventually it starts down the start of it again where something goes wrong, it's your fault, you're the problem. Um, and then it goes through it again. But what's bad about the cycle of abuse is that it gets worse over time. So what started out is just, you know, maybe some language, then goes in, you know, some verbal abuse, then goes into physical abuse and other elements there, maybe even sexual abuse. So it's important, please, if you feel like you need a change or that this may be happening to you, please reach out. There are so many resources out there to help women that are in abusive situations now. And if you are in a dark place, please take advantage of the phone numbers that will help you. I was lucky, I had a counselor who saved my life, literally. Um, through her inspiration and help. And, you know, there is life after abuse. There is so much more. So please do not give up on yourself and use the resources that are available.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying that. Um, you mentioned that you learned you were pregnant with your third child after you literally left and arrived back in Texas where you had the supportive family. What was that like for you?
I cried for 3 days. uh, it was a horrible feeling. One, I would not be able to be legally separated from him. You know, the divorce would not be finished until after the child was born. Um, Two, I would be a single mom with now 3 kids. I felt very overwhelmed. And my parents said, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. And they kept on reminding me that it's a blessing. Well, after 3 days, I picked myself up and made a plan. And so during that time frame, I think I was really blessed because throughout that pregnancy, my soon to be ex made some bad choices that resulted in me getting sole custody of all 3 children. And I am so very grateful for that. I don't think that would have occurred if I wasn't pregnant and had to wait the 10 months, 11 months until the divorce was final. So it was a
Yeah.
blessing.
And bless your parents for reminding you of that and keeping that in your forethought as the universe opened and God, whatever your belief system is, opened that up for you. We are getting ready for our first break. I know that you and I both would agree that divorce isn't easy, but you were in a place, it sounds like, where you felt safe and loved, as did your children. And you
Yeah.
sounds like you were on a path where you were ready to move forward and begin a healing journey. So when we come back, we're going to talk about what that path looks like and what came next. So don't go far. We'll be back with more Soul CPR.
Mike Zorich, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2 thirds, and 2 fourths. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorick, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorick has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hello, thank you for tuning in today. I'm Ann Papayotti with my guest, Monica Flores, and we are talking about her incredible personal journey that led to some amazing writing and books that we'll share with you a bit later in the show. And please excuse my camera if you've joined late. It's just, I'm in a bad Wi-Fi location today, but I hope that you can hear me well. Monica was just sharing leaving a difficult and abusive relationship and escaping literally and arriving into another state, back to Texas, where she had the support of family and friends and I guess new psychologists at this point or new therapists and new groups. And I'm going to get you to pick us up from there and take us through what was next in your life, because yeah, and I'll leave it at that. We'll go from there.
Okay. Well, of course, I went to counseling during my pregnancy. Had to get through the issues there and tried to do my best. When I finished counseling, I ended up going to group therapy to work through my issues and stuff. But during this time frame, I determined that I would be a single mom and raise my 3 children. But I did not have a college degree, so I went back to school and worked in the financial aid office, as well as went to school full time to become a nurse, and then had 3 children
Well,
outside. So it was a difficult time, and my week consisted of work, school, children, and that's the way it was. That was the whole cycle of it.
well, nobody ever promised easy, right? But what I always tell my people, I lead support groups for separation and divorce. It's not, nobody said it's going to be easy, but it will be worth it when you start pouring into yourself. And that's what I hear you doing. So what I'm hearing you say, you've begun to move to heal and to move forward. Life wasn't what you expected for sure, or what you dreamed of, but you found a path forward. And as the saying goes, life has a way of throwing curveballs, but some of them actually can take a positive turn. So here you are, you're on your way, you're becoming a nurse, you're single parenting successfully. Tell us about that curveball that turned positive.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So I was driving on the freeway to get to an activity, and my car blows up, literally blows up. The engine blows up while I'm driving. And I hear all the parts and pieces of the engine just fall down and make tinkling sounds as I drive over. Very unnerving. So then I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to get off the road? And luckily there was an exit coming up. I still had steering, still had my brakes. So did a lot of praying as I journeyed to a gas station on the other side of the freeway. And the lights turned green as I came up on it, so I did not have to use my brakes at all, and was able to make it to the gas station and park. So that was a blessing in itself. Now this occurred back before cell phones, so I had to then figure out what to do. But luckily I had change, so used the telephone and called my dad first, and he wasn't home. Then I called my brothers, and they weren't home. No one was available. But what had occurred about a month before that was I was at a dance, and a guy took an interest in me, and he gave me his phone number and said, if you're ever in need of help, call me and I will be there. So I took it with me and just put it in my wallet. Didn't worry about it because I'm a single mom. I'm not going to get involved with any guys. I'm happy where I'm at. Did not want to go through another trial with a spouse. But my car blew up on the freeway. So here I am, and no one else is available. And so I called him, and he showed up with his best friend and helped me out. Literally helped me out. We got my car to his friend's house, who lived a couple miles down the road. And then he was taking me home. And up to this point, transportation, in Texas, everything is wide in Texas, and it takes a car to get to every place.
Right.
And my world was hinging upon a working vehicle. So now that it had blown up on the freeway, what was I to do? And my world was falling apart around me, because if I didn't have a vehicle to get me to school and to work and to everywhere I needed to be, then the financial aid and the assistance that I received would then stop. And I needed that assistance to be able to uh, take care of my children, to be able to continue down this road to become a nurse. So I started crying in his car. And he asked me, why was I crying? And I said, well, because I've got to have a working vehicle. I've got to get to work. I've got to get to school. I've got to do everything that I need to do. And without a vehicle, that is going to really hurt me. And he says, you have this vehicle. And that blew me away. He doesn't really know me. And yeah, he knows I have 3 kids, but to give a stranger your vehicle was weird,
Wow.
but wonderful.
Weird and wonderful. What a combination of words. I love both weird and wonderful. So this curveball that seemed like it was going to really tear your world apart in a horrific way really brought this man into your life. Now, your parents who helped spin your third child as a blessing and got you and are support, helped support you emotionally. And I'm sure many other ways as you start life over from the ground up. What did they think of this weird and wonderful man?
I think they liked him. I know my dad gave him the sort of third degree when he finally arrived on my doorstep before he would let him take me out on a date. But they encouraged me to get past my anger, to get past that emotional baggage that my ex had dumped me with. And that was part of the healing process, is to let go of all that anger. I did not want him to have control over me anymore. And that included that anger that I had. So I had to let it go. And it was, an empowering thing. I chose to let it go. And that helped with my healing. So here is this guy my mom suggested. I'm a big Under Siege fan with Steven Seagal, and the new Steven Seagal movie was coming out, so I wanted to go see that, but I didn't want to go by myself, so my mom suggested I invite him. And that is where it started. Yeah. Oh, and I might as well mention, after I got my car fixed, he had bought me another used car that was newer and better than what I had. And he said, he gave me the new car, and he said, we'll just trade cars. I'll sell the old one. You keep the new one. And that was weird and wonderful in itself too, because now I had a better working vehicle, one with air conditioning, whereas my old one didn't. And in Texas, you need air conditioning. So it was, he had done multiple things, and I decided to take my mom's advice and go out to a movie with him. And of course, when he arrived at my parents' doorstep to pick me up, my dad did take him to the side and had an interview with him first, just to make sure he was a good guy. And I appreciated that.
I'm sure you did. So I think your parents have been pretty integral in a few things here, but where is Mr. Wonderful with the weird and wonderful gestures now? Where is he in your life now? Or is he?
He is in my life. We are going on our 30-year wedding anniversary this next month. So, yes, it's been wonderful. He's sort of part of the characters that are interspersed in my books, because, you do need weird and wonderful and great supporting men in your life. And he's one of them.
So I would like listeners to hear that they do exist, because when I have women who've been in my support groups who've been through abusive or difficult relationships, they doubt that weirdly wonderful men exist. And I tell them they do, but you have to be open to seeing them and receiving them. And that requires exactly what you just stated so eloquently: letting go of anger, letting go of that past, so that you can receive what is weirdly wonderful in front of you. Now, it doesn't mean that trust comes easily, right? Doesn't mean that that someone courting you is going to be the first one's going to be authentic and true. So there's still a discernment that has to come, that we have to learn about. And it sounds like that this worked out, and it's such a beautiful thing. So first of all, congratulations on that upcoming anniversary, 30-year anniversary to both of you. That's so awesome. What a gift in your life. And that curveball that turned you toward your husband. Now, you and I both are Texas residents, and Texas is known for many things, including beauty pageants. So I believe that you shared with me that at one point you actually participated in the Mrs. Texas pageant. What inspired you to enter?
Well, every year in January, I try to come up with goals for myself, what I want to accomplish that year in different avenues, whether it be physical, spiritual, emotional, um, temporal, what are my goals? So I sat down and worked that out for myself. And back in 2010, after having my sixth child, and of course that was a few years earlier, but in 2010, I decided that I would uh, you try to get back in shape, try to work on speaking and some grace, which I am a klutz. And so the Texas Mrs. Texas pageant was a great way to culminate these goals and make it into something. Oh, I'm missing the word. Help me out here. An accountability factor.
Okay.
I'm a strong believer in accountability.
Right.
So I joined the 2010 Mrs. Texas pageant, and there um, had some unique experiences. Before the Mrs. Texas pageant, I really hated public speaking. It's still an issue for me, but at least I have not started crying, which is what happened at the Mrs. Texas pageant. I was
Oh,
so
no.
overwhelmed, I broke down and cried. But I learned a few things about myself, that even in my weaknesses, I'm not perfect. I'm okay as I am. And I can move forward and continue to strive and progress on a daily basis. And I don't have to be perfect, because the outcome of that was I won Mrs. Congeniality, which I never expected. But it was a great experience, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Yes. And I mean, of all titles, I think that is the crowning title, Miss Congeniality. The world certainly needs more congenial people and role models and examples of that. So, congratulations on winning Miss Congeniality or Mrs. Congeniality. I love it. It is
I
time
did
for our,
bring
oh, what you got?
this that's whoops, I'm not doing a very good job showing it, but let's see, over here, there I am, right there in the middle.
Oh, I love it. Oh, look at you. I love it. You're in Charlie's Angels pose. I love it.
Yep.
Perfect.
We were.
All right. It is time for our second break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a curveball that didn't turn so positive, and then, but what got you back into writing. And we're going to get to those books really quickly. So don't go far. We'll be back with more Soul CPR.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network, and tune in radio as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them. Rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies. Find settings that allow them to be the most productive and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Soul CPR right here on Bold Brave TV. I'm Ann Papiotti with Monica Flores, my guest today. And we are talking about her story, and we've talked about curveballs that turn positive, but there was another curveball after life is going so well. But as life tends to go unpredictably for all of us, this next curveball really changed her world again. Tell us a little bit about what happened there.
In 2011, I was in a head-on car accident with a large truck on the other side of the freeway. He had lost control of his vehicle, and it went through the median, which was cables and posts, and went over into my lane where the cables pulled him back into the vehicle I was a passenger in. And so it was a high speed head on collision, both in, two vehicles in opposite directions. And I took the brunt of it. With that, my right wrist was crushed as well as my left foot. And because of that injury, I lost the use of my left foot. And so spent the next 2 years in a wheelchair, which was difficult. You don't want to be dependent on other people, but I became dependent upon a lot of people. And it was very difficult. But in 2013, Dr. Sarah Settle, who is a wonderful podiatrist in the area, my husband talked me into going and seeing her, and new technology had come out, and she says, I can rebuild your foot. And at first it was a shock, after being to so many doctors that couldn't fix me. And so we took her up on it, and it made a world of difference. And for that next year, I spent the year learning how to walk again. I can walk now. I can't run very well, and it looks very funny, but I can walk, and that's the important thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Another dark time in your life, but you were surrounded this time by love, and didn't have to escape anything, just had to escape maybe your own thoughts about being dependent on other people and allow the help that was built into your life already. And I imagine that your perseverance and your resilience and the journey through the pain that you were experiencing physically and I'm sure emotionally, whatever darkness might have been there, but also the growth is reflected in your characters. So tell us about when writing became more than that initial way of coping you shared with us at the beginning of the show. When did you pick it back up?
So, a few years after the injury, I ran across the novel printed out. I ran across it in one of my boxes and decided, well, let's see what we can do with this and use this as one of my goals for the year. So I rewrote the book, and I got myself involved in the Keller Writers Association, which is a writing group, and started that journey to see what would happen with my stories. So it turns out that the book evolved into one of resilience instead of just coping. And so Emara's Challenge was the first one that I was able to get published. I went down the indie road because the literature world, they determine what will be the next popular thing for the next 6 months, and resiliency in fiction is probably not one of those, nor will it ever be one of those that will be popular genres. So I went down the indie road, thanks to some wonderful friends, and got my first book published back in 2020.
Mhm.
And then 2 years later, did my second book to see if I could do it again.
Yeah.
And then this one was just released in October, take that back, October 25th.
Yeah.
So 3 wonderful books that have resulted from my experiences.
Amazing. I am reading, and I have in my hands Amara's Challenge right here. Would you mind opening Amara's Challenge and reading that beautiful quote from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and talk to us about that quote and why you chose it?
So before I before Mars Challenge became a book, but I was working on it, I was trying to just figure out how to write this book and what to do with it. And I ran across this quote in Barnes and Noble, from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, and I bought it. The most beautiful people are those who have known defeat, known suffering, known struggle, known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. These persons have an appreciation, a sensitivity, and an understanding of life that fills them with compassion, gentleness, and a deep, loving concern. Beautiful people do not just happen.
Mhm.
And I totally agree with that. And it is, that quote has become an important part of my life, and it is in all my books, because don't need to be the most beautiful, you don't need to be able to run, you don't need to be able to be perfect. You need to be you and to move forward. And that's what this life is about, is overcoming your obstacles, your challenges, and becoming better.
I love it. I love it. And for those who may not be aware, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, whom you quote, and I'd never heard this quote before from her, but I do quote her a lot in my work, is the Swiss American psychiatrist who's so well known for her book on death and dying and her work and her model of the 5 stages of grief. And that's where I think so many people, what many of us are familiar with. So thank you for sharing that with us, uh, and in Amara's Challenge, which I'm totally drawn into her world. By the way, I love it. I think anybody who uh, I think anybody could enjoy this book. I really, really do. So after Amara, what or who inspired those next 2 books, Ziva and Pala?
So Amara was if I can do it, and then Ziva was, can I do it again? Can I actually do this? So this became another goal of mine. Am I a real writer, or is it just a fluke that the first one happened?
Yeah.
And so Ziva's Challenge is from that. And within that book, um, in writing it, I got through the first half of it and then had writer's block. So for writers, that means you can't see a way to move the story forward. And so I was like, well, maybe, those doubts come. Maybe I can't do this. Maybe it was a fluke. But I spoke with other writers and they said, keep writing, keep moving forward, keep writing. You can always edit, but keep trying to move forward. And so I did. And because of that perseverance, that's how Ziva's challenge came out. And it's a wonderful story. And I see a lot of my husband and and the main character Lib is the main um, guy there. He's awesome.
Wow. So if we go back to something you shared earlier in the show, you were talking about, I think what led you into the Miss Texas pageant, it was you had started setting these goals and all. How important has goal setting been both to your healing and your writing success?
Goals are important. I think they are very important for each individual to create your own goals. You need to set goals for yourself. Look for hope and faith and move forward. Set your dreams, reach your dreams. And the only way to do that is by setting little small goals to get there.
I imagine even just when you had to learn to walk again, it was one small step at a time, right?
Can I take 3 steps? Can I take 5? Let's try for 10. Can I walk to the car? Just keep working at it, keep working at it. And, if it wasn't for me keeping working at each of these goals, I would never be to where I am now. And of course, goals will continue to be a big part of my life as I continue to move forward on this journey of my life. But I am the heroine in my book, in my life story. And each of us can be the heroine in our lives by moving forward, by having hope, by having faith, and keep progressing.
Yeah, yeah. Faith over fear is what I say, because it's fear that will keep us stuck and hold us back from our best lives
And
every time, right? Every
right.
time. Well, I appreciate your sharing that about goals. As a coach, that's something I work with clients. Every client, we're going to work on goals at some point in our journey together in our partnership. A lot of people have trouble seeing the big vision first or the big picture, and then it may be overwhelming for them. They can't figure out the how to get there, and that's why goals are so important, like you say. And thank you for describing that. Those little successes along the way. And when people say it's not the destination, it's really the journey. That's when you look back and you go, "Wow, look what I did!" Right?
Yeah. Wow.
Wow.
Indeed.
Wow, indeed. All right. Well, we are going to take our final break at this point, and when we come back, we're going to wrap it up with how people can get in touch with you, where they can buy these lovely, wonderful books of yours. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Mike Zorich, a 3-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a 6-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorich, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorich has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk on the BBM Global Network.
And we're back. Monica, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your life's journey with us, and in such an honest and an open way. I greatly appreciate it. I know our listeners do as well. If you had a key takeaway message for the audience, what would it be?
Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Keep moving forward. The joy we feel has little to do with with the circumstances of our lives, and everything to do with the focus of our lives. So focus on the positive. Focus on the things that are going right in your life. Focus on your dreams. Focus on your future. Move forward. You can do this, and you can be the heroine of your own story.
I love it. And going back to your parents using the word blessings, and then I heard you use the word blessings several times today as we were talking. And I think notice your blessings, because sometimes when we are going through difficult times, we're so looking down that we forget to look up and to see what's right in our lives, as you said. So notice the blessings in your life and call them out and be grateful for
Indeed.
them. Indeed. So again, Dan, would you mind putting up the crisis and suicide lifeline and the domestic violence hotline? Thank you. So again, if you are struggling, you do not have to go through it alone. Crisis and suicide lifeline, call or text 988. Domestic violence hotline. I know a lot of people minimize their experience. They don't recognize abuse for what it is. As Monica described was her situation, it is often a slow breakdown. Starts insidious in such an insidious way, but it escalates. The hotline.org, call 1-800-799-SAFE, that's 7233, or text START to 88788. There are advocates available to guide you and help you, and there are other resources that you can browse on their website. As this episode of Soul CPR comes to a close today, remember that healing is not a linear journey, but rather a process of profound transformation. So if today's stories resonated with you, please share this podcast with those who might need a lifeline of their own. Subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help us reach more hearts. We'd greatly appreciate it. And Monica, tell us how our listeners can connect with you or contact you.
You you can reach me through monicafloresauthor.com. And that's a great way to do it. These books are amazing. They're great reads, great for teenagers, anybody who's struggling. Sorry, I'm doing the wrong one, but trying to show the books. They're great reads, lots of adventure. Anybody who's read it has really enjoyed them, and I hope that you will go out and reach them at or get them at amazon.com, or Amazon should be just say Amazon. They're on Amazon, and you can search for them on the World Wide Web as well.
Wonderful. And I'm glad you said they're great for teenagers, because they are. and they're clean reads, they're exciting reads, and I think they would probably be in the in the JV section, right? If they were on a
Mhm.
bookshelf. So, all right, again, all that information will be in the show notes as well if you are listening. So you know how to now connect with Monica. So please check her out, her social media, and connect with her, and grab one of these books. We're coming up on the holidays. Make a great gift for someone in your life or for yourself. And as always, you can connect with me on my social media on Facebook at Skyview Coaching, or on LinkedIn, Instagram, and X at Ann Papiotti. Let me know your thoughts, your stories, and the topics you'd like to explore more on future episodes. Until next time, may you, like all of Monica's characters, find strength in your vulnerability and courage in your journey. Thank you for listening. Till next time, breathe deeply, love openly, and live soulfully. Good day.
This has been Soul CPR with host Ann Papiotti. Breathe life back into your spirit with each episode, where she and special guests explore the relationships that hurt us and discover that healing can only begin with you. Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave TV network.